Hello. This is your host, Sheraz Ahmed, ready to kick off another bite-sized episode of the Crypto Valley Association podcast. A special thank you to Seba Bank for supporting us during this initiative as they pursue their mission to redefine finance for the new economy. Now, let's discover together the growing trends of this fast-moving space and try to shed some light on the mysteries it contains. Today, we are joined by Ashlie Meredith, Head of Education at Mousebelt, who are working to improve the blockchain industry through media, educational programs, engineering services, and a full-service accelerator program. The Crypto Valley Association is also a proud member of the Blockchain Education Alliance, founded by Mousebelt. So without further ado, let's dive straight into the world of blockchain education. Hello, Ashlie. How are you doing today?
Great to be here. Thank you so much for having me. And thanks to the Crypto Valley Association for supporting what I think is super important in the blockchain space, education.
Wonderful. We'll have this whole episode to talk so much more about that, but maybe we start things off and you can share with us your first blockchain related experience.
Yeah, hard to avoid as I'm the head of education, and that was kind of my entry point into blockchain. I had been working as a philosophy professor for a few years, and I had a lot of friends around me who were like, "You got to get into this Bitcoin stuff. Uh, Blockchain stuff is happening." My good friends and CEOs of the company Mousebelt finally approached me with a role that was, we want to launch a university program. And we think that with your academic expertise and curriculum development and love for supporting students, that even though you don't know anything about blockchain, you can dive in and have a really good time doing it. And that's exactly what happens. And here I am almost 3.5 years later.
Wow, that's incredible. I'm really looking forward to kind of deep diving into some of those areas. But maybe you tell us a little bit more about Mousebelt to begin with.
Absolutely. So Mousebelt was born out of a development shop that was building blockchain technology, and they teamed up with a investment fund that wanted to really invest in projects. Think back like 2017, 2018, a lot of projects promising a lot, not really delivering, raising tons of money. And we thought a good way to really invest in these projects would be to actually build them. So, in addition to capital, we were investing engineering resources. So all of the companies in our portfolio as a blockchain accelerator, this combination of the investment fund and engineering shop, launched Mousebelt Blockchain Accelerator. And every company in our portfolio, we're very hands-on and we're actively building these projects and also still do a lot of contracted engineering work. Most recently, we are building the Nervos Cardano bridge that was just announced a few weeks ago. So that's kind of some of the stuff that we do.
Wow. Okay. Interesting. And I'm looking forward to speaking more about the accelerator program and a few other things that you have going on. But maybe you can just give our audience a little bit of insight into why you believe education is so important in this space.
Sure. It's kind of just part of my blood. I'm a lifelong learner and educator. I've been teaching at the university level for 12 plus years now. And I think for me, also coming as a philosopher into the space, the ideas behind blockchain and how it could transform society are so important, and everyone deserves the opportunity to learn about those and reap their benefits. So things like financial inclusion, financial independence, cross-border payments, banking the unbanked, this kind of really political, philosophical thing behind it. I just think people everywhere deserve to learn about it and reap the benefits of it, as well as from a really practical standpoint. We're not going to see the innovation, some of this pie in the sky stuff we talk about as far as banking the unbanked, unless we have people who can actually build this technology. And it's very complicated to build blockchain, and students are hungry for it. Students in computer science programs want blockchain classes, and really it's up to us as an industry to invest in innovation.
Very interesting. And so maybe you can tell us more about how yourselves at Mousebelt differentiate the way education happens in the space? Because we often hear so much about how education is important, and what's your twist on education? How do you educate?
Yeah, so there's kind of the traditional route where you look at institutions like academia. And I think with rising costs of tuition and COVID and everything kind of being virtual now, people are really opening their minds to different ways of learning, and that maybe you don't need a college degree to have the career you want. And there's a lot of more opportunities for people to have access to education that weren't there before. Various technologies made it easier. So you have the university side of things where it's very institutional and sometimes slow to adapt, and it can take years for an accredited course to get accepted. But there are students there who are working really hard to teach each other, to teach student-led classes on their campus. And so I think investing there, we've sponsored classes before. UCLA's first ever blockchain engineering course for undergraduates we sponsored a few years ago. And there's just a real gap in undergraduate courses in hands-on development. So that's somewhere that I think people in the industry could really focus their efforts and see real returns. Lots of enrollment. Students are really eager to take those classes. And then there's kind of non-traditional ways of learning, which is signing up for Mousebelt.university, where you can log in and take a development course that our CTO put together. It requires a year of programming experience, but we also have a blockchain of business course that is really introductory. So finding these free resources that are out there, but someone has to build those too. So I'm really encouraged to see a lot of the protocols in the space. Pretty much all of the major ones you know of have grant programs intended to fund coursework in their protocol, to help developers learn how to build on this protocol, to invest in media, community managers, new startups that are building. So really encouraged to see other ways that people can learn or help contribute to the space and even earn grants to do it.
Oh, wonderful. And tell us more about some of the benefits of the Mousebelt University program. I mean, you mentioned tuition, in the traditional worlds being rather expensive. I mean, tell us more about what you offer with this university program.
Oh, absolutely. So we've always offered our educational resources for free. We spend a lot of our personal time on advising calls. I built a course called Blockchain Leadership in my university days, spent a lot of time building clubs and advising clubs at the student government level. So I really like to talk students through how to start a club on their campus and run their own courses and ask their university for money. We also often sponsor meetups. We were doing a lot of that in person before COVID hit. And right in March, I believe I was supposed to go to a conference that we had, a student-led, conference that we had sponsored, and it was canceled the week of, which really inspired us to go double down on some of our virtual efforts. So we've been a remote first team since our conception, and we've always been doing a lot of Zoom meetings, webinars, seminars, and this industry is so global. So it's just really cool to see. We'll get a great guest speaker to come talk to your school, maybe sponsor a little Bitcoin giveaway, and it's super fun. We'll have anywhere from 10 really passionate students to up to 100, like all coming in to learn about blockchain and maybe win some Bitcoin. So just there's a lot. Your money and your time can really go a long way when people are so hungry for knowledge, and we're really happy to do that.
Wow, wonderful. And I see that you go that extra mile as well by actually even having an accelerator program, right? Where you even can help incubate some of those projects. I mean, do you want to tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said, we kind of had this unique model where we felt like a company's cash could go further if they were investing it in their engineering resources. So that was part of our investment, throwing our engineering resources at their project, actually building them. And we've had a lot of success with some of our portfolio companies, moving on to follow-up funding, Series A rounds, being bought out, all those exciting things that you want to see happen for a startup. So it's kind of proved that model. But because we're so hands-on, we can't take everybody. So, but we had a lot of inbound requests to join the accelerator. So we also launched Mousebelt Startup School, which, like some of the university educational resources I've mentioned, have all of that on the website, have open office hours with us, so that even if we don't have the resources right away to do a full investment, we're still able to provide some support to startups in the space.
Wonderful, wonderful. And you've been doing this for quite some time, and I know we spoke about it just before about this 10th anniversary event that you're about to host. I mean, 10th, wow, that's incredible. Would you like to tell us more or about this event you're hosting?
Yeah, so that around the time when our this conference we had sponsored got canceled, and everybody, unsure what to do, all the events are being canceled, we built this community around students who are in our Telegram groups and uh, joining our meetups every week. And one of them had the idea to do a virtual conference for their student conference. And we've been, hosting virtual meetups for a while, and had launched a podcast called Bitcoin Radio the year before. So we thought, why don't we take this community we've built and all of our connections in the space, all the interviews we've already done with the podcast, and start doing a virtual conference. So we've been doing that almost every month for the last year. So it's been over a year, but we're just at the 10th event. So every month or so we do this virtual conference series. It's called Reimagine 2020, now Reimagine 2021. And our naming convention was, let's kind of reimagine what's possible. The whole world has been put on pause, but maybe it's also an opportunity for us to pause and reflect and rethink how we work, how we live, and just get together and have really good conversations. And so by the time this episode comes out, it should be about time, or maybe it'll be just after, but you can always catch the episodes on YouTube. But August 15th will be our 10th anniversary event.
Wow, incredible. So everyone make sure to tune in. The Reimagine events are very interesting. I even participated in one myself. I think Ashlie was burn the banks or something along this line. Some very great speakers, and really insightful one there. And maybe actually you can tell us a little bit more about, so since you're so distributed in terms of you're doing virtual events and really anyone can participate. I mean, do you see any like people from all over the globe participate? I know that you're based in the US yourself. I mean, how is the participation on a global spectrum?
Yeah, do you mean for the conference or just Mousebelt in general?
Yeah, I would say Mousebelt in general. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say, of course, just because we're native English speakers, and geography. A lot of us are based in the US. I would say there's a lot kind of concentrated in the US, Canada. But we see a lot of schools from emerging markets, Latin America. We just did a virtual event for Mousebelt University in Tanzania that had 70 attendees. And so really it is all over the place. Unfortunately, we're a pretty small distributed team, and we don't have everyone in our team who can speak every language, but we want to like get into every country. We're always open to make things work. We're have an initiative going in Thailand right now. We have an office there. So we kind of launched this Thai university initiative where we would focus on the schools in Thailand and try to see if we could get all of these universities talking to each other more and collaborating together. And we discovered that there's actually a lot of professors who are really interested in blockchain, who are teaching blockchain classes, and we've had great attendance at our virtual events with them.
Incredible. Wow, that's truly incredible. And I mean, what are your thoughts on the way education is going to grow within this space? I mean, Bitcoin has been now around for over 10 years. We're seeing slow but sure adoption with everything that's happened now within 2021. What do you believe is the future of the education space within the blockchain industry?
Yeah, I'll just say that in my 3.5 years, kind of watching the space and engaging with people like the Crypto Valley Association and other members of our Blockchain Education Alliance, which we launched October 2019. We had a lot of contacts in the space who we'd done development work for, and we've been running this university program for over a year. And we approached a bunch of these protocols and even some enterprise companies. PG&E just joined last month, a couple months ago. We announced that is that we think this is important. The innovation you want to see in the space isn't going to happen until there's kind of a, mass, not even mass adoption, but like a mass amount of developers who are able to build it. So let's invest in education. And in the last few years, I've seen, a lot of protocols starting to offer grants for educational programming, sponsoring more student events, really wanting to engage universities and source talent and find interns. So I think that we'll see a lot more companies investing in education, and especially if they want people developing on their protocols, creating higher quality content for their tutorials and things like that. And then at the university level, of course, like it's kind of slower, but you see from students starting their own club and teaching themselves to maybe there's a course in the certificate program to, for example, Portland State has an online business blockchain certificate that you can get even if you're not a student. They're starting to offer degrees and masters in blockchain and cryptocurrency. So I think you'll just see more and more opportunity for formal education, informal education, and just a lot more interest from students demanding it as well.
Incredible. Yeah, more opportunities with this distributed technology. That's wonderful to hear. And actually, I wanted to ask, since you come from such a let's say the traditional educational space, what was your aha moment when entering the blockchain world, where you really saw and then said, "Wow, okay, this space is really at the forefront, and it really change the world," for maybe some of the listeners that have yet to have this aha moment?
Yeah, so early on, to kind of do a deep dive into this new industry I was jumping in, I read The Truth Machine, the Blockchain and the Future of Everything by Paul Vigna. And he has a co-author that I can't recall at the moment, but they basically say like getting this technology right is going to take people from all sectors of society, psychologists, communicators. Me coming from such a soft humanities background, not being technical, kind of felt scared off. But they said that in order to say, take this as a clarion call to get involved, that this technology is so important and it's going to take all kinds to build it, so you should get involved in some way. So that encouraged me. And then just seeing how passionate and how diverse the students were that I was working with. It's what you would expect: 60% computer scientists or engineers, but there's environmental scientists, philosophers, lawyers, all marketing people, all getting interested in this space. So really said, something's going on here, and it attracts so many different kinds of people that just really encouraged me to keep going. And then ultimately the kind of philosophical aspects of it, of how it could reorder society and the benefits and financial inclusion and the ethics of it. I guess I am an ethicist. Really, really excited me.
Wow, that's beautiful. Thank you so much, Ashlie, and thank you for joining us today. I was wondering, do you have any final words for our listeners today? How they can get further involved potentially with Mousebelt, or maybe and any final thoughts?
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Anyone who's interested in more resources for developing blockchain, we also have some open source tools that you can use if you're just getting started. Mousebelt.com should lead you to all of our different areas, but mousebelt.university for the students out there, Startup School for the startups out there, and hopefully everybody can tune in to our 10th anniversary of Reimagine 2021. And if they miss it, head over to our YouTube and check out Sheraz on there as well.
Wonderful to not be missed. It's gonna be wonderful. So thanks again, Ashley, for joining us. And To everyone listening, if you enjoyed this conversation, feel free to check out more on our website, cryptovalley.swiss, where we host plenty of events, educational material, and even provide information on how you can join our growing community. So thanks again, Ashlie, for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
Great. Stay tuned, stay safe, and until next time from the Crypto Valley in Switzerland. Bye-bye.